Hello there, good afternoon and a warm welcome to today's edition of The People's Verdict. Your host, I am Kaptula Afias. You are watching Camnet TV, not just another channel, and we are glad that you could join us for today's edition. In the studio, as always, we have a guest, and today we are joined by Pastor Israel YAMBALA, who is going to help us discuss today's topic of discussion. And today we are looking at taking personal responsibility. Pastor Israel, we are glad that you could join us. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon to you too, Afias. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, and we're glad that you could find time to join us.
Sure.
How is your day going?
Well, so far so good. It's far from being over. Yeah, and it being a Tuesday, so we are looking forward to seeing more of God's goodness.
All right, wonderful.
Sure.
Just as we kickstart the show, I would want to find out, who is Pastor Israel YAMBALA?
Well, Pastor Israel YAMBALA, or should I say Israel YAMBALA, is a pastor, as mentioned, a pastor under Praise Christian Center. And my spiritual father and my mentor is Bishop Dr. Edgar Ngambi. And I pastor the branch in Chawama. Yeah, and I'm also a life coach and a personal development trainer. My wife and I run an organization called the I Am Development Project, which specializes in just mentoring and training people to discover themselves, and also helping people to also find their path in business. So we are specialized in personal development and also training people into business, from how they can even transition their business from SME to large scale. So in addition to that, my wife and I are also co-honoring an organization called Resha Design. It's a print media, print designing organization that also does gift hampers and all sorts of designings, from logo to banners, business cards, and so on. We've been in that business for I think since 2021 January. And like I mentioned, my wife and I have been married. We've been married for 15 years. Yeah, and I've been with her for 18 years. Together, the Lord has blessed us with 3 beautiful children, 2 boys and 1 girl. Yeah,
That is wonderful.
I come from a family of 5, and I'm the 4th born. And yeah, I think pretty much it.
Oh yeah, that's a lot going on with you there.
Sure.
Now you are a pastor and a life coach.
Yes, sir.
We do understand that these are 2 different issues to get all together. Which one came first, pastoring or life, or being a life coach, and how did you discover either of the 2?
Well, what really came through was pastoring, of course. Pastoring, the call of God, it was on my heart from the time I think I was born. I was born as far as I can remember. I grew up in a biblical home. My mother was a pastor under North Mid Assemblies of God. And my father wasn't much of a believer, but his father was a reverend under UCZ. When I say he wasn't much of a believer, he was a believer, but he wasn't a committed faith like a deacon or an elder in the church. He was one who used to encourage us to go to church. But I can credit the call of the Lord, me discovering my call, to my mom, because she raised me in the faith. And she was the one who even actually took me to Bible school and taught me most of what I know. And of course, through her circles in the church, I discovered my calling also in the things of the Lord. And yes, it's been a journey worth knowing. And really, the pastoral call came from really having a burden of just having God with you. God would visit me at an early age. I would have visions of heaven, visions of God himself, and God would actually speak to me, not really seeing his face, but you just see a form and you know that this is God speaking to you. The earliest encounter I had of God speaking to me was when I was 7. He would show me dreams and visions, and I would hear his voice. And so from a young boy, everyone would tell that, okay, this one has the call of God on his life. Sure.
Now, how did you get into the coaching part? start doing the coaching?
Yeah, well, what really pulled me into the coaching was the burden for human development. Yeah, in as much as, yes, the pastoral event, the pastoral calling was that essence, but the burden for human development to try to see that children of God, man as an individual, must grow to become just like Christ himself. Mm-hmm. And it also started from my personal journey in life when I discovered that I needed to know what I needed to know. I need to first discover myself. I need to get into the field of actually being what I'm supposed to be as a man. You know, really, mm-hmm. It was Genesis 1 verse 26 when God says, let us make a man. Just that essence of God making a man. For you to become something, God must actually make you, and he makes you by feeding you not just religious knowledge, but also feeding you everything that knowledge that you need, every kind of knowledge that you need for you to become that which you're supposed to become. Knowledge for you to be skillful in your profession, to be skillful as a man, to be skillful as a husband, to be skillful as a father, and also as a child of God. So mm-hmm. the burden to just see someone fully developed as an individual, that's what really burdened me to actually become a life coach. I used to, in my pastoral, I used to be a motivational preacher, you know, mm-hmm. to teach it as well. Yeah. Tomorrow will be a good day for you. God is going to come through for you. But I saw that those scriptures were not working. And so I tried preaching messages also. Maybe let's try rebuking. You know, do not sin, do not do that, do not do this. And that also wasn't working. And I discovered that despite the fact that people know what they need to do, and people know that God is good, there is a question of how can I see God's goodness? How can I transition my life from where it is now to where it is supposed to be? And that is what actually burdened me to actually become a coach, a life coach, and a life trainer.
Oh, wonderful. Our viewers, you are watching The Verdict on Camnet TV, and today in the studios we are joined by Pastor YAMBALA. We are discussing taking personal responsibility, as you are aware that we are existing in a world of different issues. You are affected by politics, you are affected by economics, you are affected by social relations, and it is very important in that regard to know how to take personal responsibility. In the studio, Pastor Israel is a pastor, as I've mentioned in his title, and is also a life coach, and is going to help us to discuss the issues around taking personal responsibility. Pastor Israel, just getting into the topic of our discussion today, mm-hmm. You are a life coach, and you do agree that life is a complex issue. It's a complex matter.
Yes, it is.
Having said that, how can one understand life then?
Well, life has got many philosophies, and based on one's personal view, one can choose to understand life from a religious point of view, where you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as you love yourself. One can choose to understand life from a business point of view, where one will say, no, go for the kill, go make the money, go for the top. A business or career point of view, be the best, be number one, don't be second best, don't be second class, and so on. Mm-hmm. One can also define life in one way or in another, but truly, I would say life is defined by two things. Mm-hmm. Number one, life is defined by relationships. It is all about relationships. Mm-hmm. When God says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, he's talking about relationship. And when he says, you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself, that too is also referring to relationships. And you find that when this relationship aspect is distorted within an individual, someone's life can also be ruined. Someone's life will not even go as far as it is supposed to go. The pain of losing a loved one, mm-hmm. the pain of having a broken relationship can literally damage an individual compared to losing resources, compared to losing finances or anything else around them. So life, yes, is the first definition, which I would say what life is in the centrality of relationships. Vertical, your relationship with God. Then horizontal, your relationship with your neighbor, with others, how you relate with people around you. The second thing I would also define what life also is about purpose. Your existence has got an ultimate meaning and a reason. And many people would tend to equate their existence by the means in which they were brought into existence. For instance, maybe someone's mother was raped, and in the process of that trauma, this child was conceived. And the child now says, look, I was an accident. I was not supposed to be here. So what purpose is there for me to live? You know, and someone can also want to equate to them, can also say to themselves to say, no, look, I was a bastard child. My father had an affair with my mother, and or vice versa. And in that affair, I was just born. How can that be equated to be purposeful? But you see, despite of the means in which you were brought into the earth, there is an ultimate purpose to why you are here. The purpose of a person is not equivalent to the means in which someone was brought into existence. And life is all about every person discovering their purpose. Why was I born? And also laboring to fulfill that ultimate purpose as to why they were born, to pursue. Because it's one thing to know your purpose. It's another thing to actually be living according to it. When we look at the Bible and God was creating heaven and earth, he created something for a reason. He said, let the earth produce this. Let the dry land appear from the waters. Let the waters be separated for the waters, for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. And even when he came to make man, he said, let us make man in our image. God was very specific when he was making man. And then he was also very specific to why he created man, so that he should have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and everything else that I have created. So life is truly about you discovering your purpose and living your purpose. The day you fail, or should I say you negate the purpose to why you were here on earth, or you do not pursue your purpose, life becomes vanity. Life ceases to have meaning. Life ceases to have value. And life begins to be a depleting resource that one will not actually utilize and see the full potential thereof. Yeah.
You have mentioned about having a purpose regardless of circumstances.
Yes, sir.
This is very critical, and these are practical issues that many people out there are grappling with.
Yes.
How can a person be able to detach themselves from their circumstance or from their situation where they come from to achieve their purpose in life?
Yeah, well, how a person can be able to detach themselves from their circumstances in order to achieve their purposes. It starts, as a pastor, I would say it starts with changing your association. It starts with changing your association and recognizing the need of change within you. Because for you to actually detour, to change your course on life, you have to first recognize within you that there is something that is wrong with me. Yeah, because no one can actually pursue a dream that they do not know. They have to first, or should I say, no one will be able to change things that they do not see as something that needs to be changed in their lives. If you do not see that there is something wrong with your life, then you won't do anything about it. So it begins with serious recognition to say, no, look, I need to actually change. I need to actually do this. There is a cry for change in every person. But the response to that cry is entirely within everyone else. God has put eternity in every man's heart, but the response to that cry of eternity is based on our will. It's based on our emotions. One can choose to respond and say, that's how life is. My father, my mother, my neighbor, they've all gone through the same thing. Another one can choose to say, this is how life is, I'm going to do something about it. So when you choose to recognize that there is a problem with your life, number one. Number two, you begin to pursue who can change that problem, which is God. If you look at the Bible, there is no one that ever discovered their purpose, or should I say discovered their purpose in life or changed things around them without knowing God. They had a personal encounter with God. They had a personal experience with God. It doesn't matter how far a person was from the faith. It doesn't matter how backslidden or how downright the person was. As long as they had that desire to change, God came and gave them that encounter. God opened themselves up to that encounter. It's like a person's desire for change draws God to them. You look at Gideon in the Bible, and Gideon was someone who the Bible says was the least in his father's house, and his father's house was the least in the village. And in the village, he was the least. He was the least in everything. The village was also the least in the entire region. But still, God visited him because of a hunger within him to say, I think I can change. I think I can do this. And that's where the step begins from. The other thing comes to decision making. Be willing. One must be willing to make quality decisions that will lead them into change. Because we are a product, whether we choose to like it or not, of the things that we decide. Nothing happens without the decisions we make. Now, we can make decisions verbally or non-verbally, but the non-verbal decisions are the strongest ones because they determine the verbal decisions that we make. So one must be willing to make serious decisions. Take a personal audit of your life and make serious decisions, because the decisions you have made are the reason why you are where you are right now. So if you are going to change, then you have to make decisions that will also lead you to change and take a different course. So when you make those decisions, you work on managing them. You work on closely fulfilling those decisions. Don't just make them, but manage those decisions.
I think before we get into what I understand, that you have come up with something that you have named the 5 assumptions of life. Wow. I thought we should stay on this trajectory on making decisions.
Yes, sir.
I think I want us to be drawn to a practical issues that are happening in society. Today we have seen that there are issues that we have seen some people have resorted to abusing drugs, abusing beer, and we have also seen some criminal gangs in the compounds. These who are now popular as junkies. Many of them, they attribute this path they have taken to lack of economic activities. In relation to the topic that we're talking about, taking personal responsibility and what we have added in terms of decision making, how can people get out of such situations and take responsibility?
Yes, people must take responsibility, because responsibility is not just personal. Responsibility is, should I say, corporate. We must understand that the decisions I make are not just about me. They are about my neighbor. They are about everything. We live in a relational world. We live in a relational environment. So if I see and if I decide to, let's say, go into drugs, I must first understand and come to terms that these drugs that I'm taking, I'm not just destroying my life, but I'm destroying the people around me. You see, I'm also destroying the economy of the nation. I'm worsening the economy of the nation. Because when it comes to making decisions, decisions should never be made from an emotional place. And when people resort to taking drugs when they resort, because by the way, I was someone who was an addict of alcohol. I have also taken drugs like not white cocaine, but drugs, marijuana, smoking, and it was because I went through a time where I lost my father, and my family lost the income to take me to school. And it was a depressive time within that we were going through as a nation at the time when my father died, because Zambia was transitioning from the Kaunda regime to the multi-party regime, and the first 3 years of the second Republican president was not very good for him. He had promised a lot for the nation, but he discovered that when he came into power, the president discovered that things are actually very difficult. They are not as easy as they could be. So he was forced to make certain decisions, privatizing companies, which had costed some of us who were at that time to also see the negative side of the decisions that he had made. Some of the people saw positivity, but some of us were at a disadvantage.
At a loss.
Yes, we were at a loss. And in the decisions that he made, not to say that the president was wrong, because sometimes when you are a leader, you have to make certain decisions that will sacrifice a minority, so that the greater majority, they are happy, you see. And you see that even you, when you are making decisions, many people think about themselves first before they want to see the people around them more, you see. And that's where you find people resort to marijuana, they resort to drugs, and they resort to what. So you find how, going back to your question, how can someone begin to come out of that? First of all, they should get rid of their emotions. Number one. Number two, they should see things bigger than what they are seeing right now. A small-minded person is fixed on the things around them, the negativity they are going through. A big-minded person, or should I say big picture, a futuristic mind, is someone who sees things beyond themselves. They think not just about today, they think about tomorrow. They are thinking about their brother, they are thinking about their sisters. And when we see, because of what the nation is going through right now, in terms of, I like to call it economical recess, you know, not really economic breakdown, but economic recess, which means that things have to go bad before they become good, better. And a big futuristic person would think, what will I do to adjust? You first look at the situation, and in deciding, you ask questions like, what can I do? And how can I make things better? Not just what can I do, but how can I make this better? How can I improve? How can I also add value to the nation? Because be it as it may, whether we like it or not, my beloved, an economy is not developed by a government. The economy of every nation is developed by the people. And when the people begin to exercise their mind to think, to ask themselves critical questions, as in, where am I, how did I get there, and how can I get out of what I'm going through, and how can I improve, how can I be a blessing to this nation, how can I be a neighbor, how can I love my neighbor? When he says loving the nation, how can I love my nation, my neighbor, as I love myself? Then we'll be able to see a better society. So I think this thing of taking personal responsibility and decision making is something that is very, very critical.
All right.
Yeah.
Critical indeed. In case you're just joining us, this is the People's Verdict on Camnet TV. Your host, I am Kaptula Afias, and in the studio today we are joined by Pastor Israel YAMBALA. We are discussing taking responsibility and moving forward, Pastor.
Sir.
You have come up with the assumptions of life. There's something that you're calling the assumptions of life.
Yes.
Maybe briefly just share with us in terms of the assumptions of life and how you have just come up with the same.
Yeah, assumptions in life. I'm writing a book called Dare to Believe, And in this book, I talk about the story of my life and how I was living out of assumptions. And assumptions is a mother of great mess-ups. It's a mother of great mistakes. Assumptions, first of all, they are something which is a truth or something which has not been verified as truth, yet you have accepted as a truth. It's a principle, but you think it is right, but it's not verified as right. And if that truth is not verified as right, then everything around your life is subject to fall if it is wrong. So one of the assumptions that I observed that many people have in life, which I also had in life, is that first of all, it is my fault. It is not, or should I say, it is my fault that I am here. It is my fault that this, or that. And that's one of the assumptions, which would lead someone to begin to self-blame everything. And one would blame themselves about where they are. They would blame themselves about why things are where they are. And those assumptions, they hinder people from trying new things. You see, another assumption would be thinking that it is not my fault. Someone else is to blame for where I am. The government is to blame for the state of unhygiene water. The government is to blame for the filth that we see in our compounds. They are not taking care of us. It is their responsibility to take care of us. The dollar is increasing because someone else has done it. You know, the people are dying because witches are cursing them. You know, my kidney is not working because a witch has shot me down at night. They have cast a spell on me and so on. My husband is leaving me because there is someone more beautiful that he has found that has taken his eye. My wife doesn't like me because she thinks I am this. It is her fault. It is not my fault. And most people, should I even say, which is very true, beloved, 85% are living on this assumption that someone else is to blame for my mistakes. Someone else is to blame why I don't have a job. Someone else is to blame why I don't have enough money in my pocket. Someone else is to blame why business is not going well. And everyone wants to blame someone for why things are not okay for themselves. So now you have to now look down and ask to say, okay, is it really someone else's fault? You know, because when you really in coaching and mentoring, we take the eyes from of the individual. We take your eyes from seeing at other people to seeing yourself. And that is what our Lord Jesus was doing. He would tell people to say, look, you are busy telling that this person has got a speck, this person has got this person has got that. But look at yourself.
You turn around the situation.
You turn around the situation. Look at yourself in the mirror. Before you are telling, you can be saying that there are trees everywhere, but you just haven't washed your eyes. You know, if you can clean your eyes, you can actually build yourself. You see, the other assumption is that I need to do this in order for me to become this. People would learn, when I say I need to do this in order to become this, the notion there is that I need to improve my external factors in order for me to improve my actual life. I need to, let's say, get this degree in order for me to actually be feeling like I'm a somebody, like I am actually an educated person. You know, I need to actually, or should I say, buy a car and have a house in order for me to be seen as a man in church. I need to give 10,000 kwacha offering in order for me to be regarded as a serious member in my Father's house. I need to do this in order for me to become that. People would want to see validity of their success by acquiring external things, by doing and getting external achievements. I have achieved this, I have achieved that. And you see those people, you find whenever you're with them, all they're doing, they're just blowing their own horn. They are just, no, look at what I've done. I sat with the president. I did this. I did that. But that is a serious assumption. And the danger for that is that the more they will continue to try and get things out there and fulfill things out there, the more unfulfilled they will become. They will find themselves quoting Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1. Life is vanity.
And I'm thinking that is how the world is moving. Many people, that is the direction they are taking, the direction of competitiveness, which sometimes is taken out of proportion.
Exactly. It's a Greek philosophy. It's a Greek terminology which the Greeks used to bind the people they were colonizing. If you study history properly, the old colonials were colonizing people by bringing and indoctrinating the people they were colonizing with philosophies of competition. You need to do this in order for you to become this. You need to do that in order for you to become that. That's why they had colosseums in all the olden days, and they would have gladiators. You are a champion if you beat these people. If you do this, you are a champion. But you see, true fulfillment is when you actually improve yourself. You see, because the truth is that if I am not investing in myself, if I'm not improving as a person, nothing around me will improve. You see, if my persona is not changing, if my personality is not improving and evolving, if I'm not investing 10,000 kwacha in myself, then nothing around me will improve. So, as an individual, every person is a determinant factor of the things around them. It's not the things that are a determinant factor of you. It is you who is a determinant factor of the things that are around you. Your environment is an expression of your inward personality. So to change your environment would need to change your inward personality, your inward persona. The scriptures tell us to say creation is groaning and waiting for the manifestations of the sons of God. That should tell us that in creation waiting for the sons of God, creation is in pain because it is an expression of the children of God today. But when the children of God begin to find themselves and begin to develop their inward spirit to be as holy as He is holy, the environment will begin to radiate an expression of what is inside. So that is a serious assumption in personal development that we begin to look at. Like I said, we turn the eyes from it is this one's fault to maybe it is your fault. Maybe you have subconsciously made decisions that you thought were right and that are wrong. You see? And another assumption, the third assumption, I think I can give you 3 assumptions. The third assumption is that I must work hard. I know the notion why they say work hard and work smart. You know? Working hard is working smart. So they have taught us that those who have taught work hard, work smart, to say no, just be effective, just hit one target and then you are done. You don't have to be working from morning to 18 hours. You just come and do one specific thing, and when that thing is done, then you have done everything. But that is not so, because if working hard is working smart, then it defeats the purpose of consistency. It defeats the purpose of studying, a school person studying from grade 1 to grade 12. Working hard also involves consistency, commitment, waking up early, being focused. There is what they teach, say the law of the tree and the axe. When you are hitting the tree on the same place, consistently, that tree will fall. So working hard is equivalent to working smart. You can work hard and work smart. But people who just come to say, no, I'm working smart, and they call 2-3 clients, and those 2-3 clients, maybe they have confirmed the deal for themselves, and they put the phone down at our 7th. My day is clear. No. Why not give yourself a schedule? Why not give yourself to say, I'll devote myself these hours in my work. I'll devote myself this so many times in my prayer. Someone who would build a poor prayer culture and they'll say, no, I'll just pray for 3 minutes. As long as I've prayed effectively, then God will answer me. It's the effective prayer, which is smart prayer. I've just prayed fast. The Bible doesn't teach about smart prayer, 2 minutes prayer, until you see another. The Bible talks about consistent prayer beyond adversity. People like Elijah would be praying for rain even when they're not seeing rain. That is not praying smart. That is praying hard and praying with focus. So we teach that as well in personal development, and those are serious assumptions that one must really question and one must really get rid of.
Well, awesome insights there you have given, Pastor. Sure. Maybe as we conclude, even as we head towards the end of the show,
yes,
I would love to get into discovering oneself.
Yes, please.
Discovering oneself. Yes. I think as you take responsibility, it's very important that you discover. You have mentioned that there's a religious path, there's a business path. How can one then discover oneself, and what is the importance of self-discovery?
Well, the importance of self-discovery, it leads to self-development. You cannot develop, or should I say self-investment. You cannot invest in yourself if you do not discover yourself. Because if you discover yourself, you will know yourself. You will know your temperaments, you will know your desires, you will know your passion, you will know your vision, you will know your goals. It will be difficult for you to invest in yourself and see the quality of your investment of yourself if you do not discover yourself. So first, this personal discovery is a journey that leads you to now know, number one, who you are. It also leads you to discover your purpose. It also leads you to discover your goals. It also it puts you into a right framework, into a right perspective. But the path in you discovering yourself, first of all, it begins with you knowing God. Know the Lord. And when you know the Lord for yourself, have a personal relationship with God. There's a corporate relationship with God one can have at church, but there is a personal relationship with God one must have with you and God in the closet. Secondly, you need to take a personal SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a module, it's a business module that teaches on the strengths of a business. In order to discover what a business is all about, you look at the business strength, the business's weaknesses, which are the internal factors of the business. And you look at the opportunities and threats, which are the external factors. They are the macro factors of the business, which help shape an identity of the business. So even as our identity, it shapes up it's a makeup of our internal and our external factors. There's a reason why I'm in Zambia. I'm a Zambian, and my being a Zambian is part of who I am. So you taking a personal SWOT analysis by, number one, looking at your strengths. What are your strength zone? What are the things which, when we talk about strength zone, you are looking at your talents, you are looking at your gifts, you are looking at the things that are a driving force to you. What are the things that you can do for free without getting paid? What are the things which you can do effortlessly, which give you fulfillment, which give you passion, which give you a burden, which give you joy, and so on? What are the things, when you're talking about weaknesses, you're talking about what are the things that are a weakness in your life? And weakness, you're looking at terms of your character. What are the things which you see as a weakness? Are you short-tempered? Are you laissez-faire? Are you temperament? Are you this? Are you that? And then you begin to do that. But when you're taking a SWOT analysis, it's important that you take it not on your own, but you ask the people that are close around you to help you show your to help you see who you really are.
All right. I think we are getting towards the end of the show. I just want to to get your concluding remarks, especially on taking responsibility. You look into the camera and speak to someone there the importance of taking responsibility,
okay,
and how they can do it properly. Just straight ahead.
Okay. Well, taking responsibility is the first step to you building a lasting life that you are called to have. And I believe that you have within you the power and the ability to change. But you can only change when you choose to take that responsibility. And the power to change is in actually taking responsibility. And when you decide that I can do all things that through Christ who strengthens me, then you get on that path which God will actually do it to you. Everything else in life is waiting on you taking personal responsibility. The good thing is that every time you take that responsibility to change, that's when you see God unleashing the resources that He has promised to give you, and life will actually be truly worthwhile.
Okay, on that note, Pastor, thank you very much for making an appearance on our show for today, and we hope that next time we would also find time when we call on you to come to the show. Well, viewers, I have been Afias Kaptula on the People's Verdict. Today we are hosting Pastor Israel YAMBALA, and we were discussing taking responsibility. Till next time, keep watching Camnet TV, not just another channel.